Hello, future millionaires. This is Aztec, and this is the CSC. I know you guys are wondering, why am I talking about XRP? This video is about Win XRP Moon. And I know you guys are wondering why, because generally I would be talking about this chart here, which is Bitcoin. We're talking about Cardano, which is my favorite project, or Dash, or Bitcoin Cash, or some other project. But today I'm talking about XRP. I was a very big investor in XRP in 2017, but I want to tell you what this video is not about first. This video is not about flooding XRP. This video is not about propping it up, and this video is not about anything other than explaining why the price of XRP is stagnant and when it will move. And really this came about because I'm one of those guys that likes to surf different YouTube channels, and I was watching the digital Nomad Investor. As you can see here, he was live this morning, and it shows he's still live, and we were having this conversation about why XRP is stagnant. The price, essentially, it's kind of trading in a range. It generally trades in a range. It hasn't just mooned yet. And, a lot of people in the XRP camp really think XRP should have mooned already because of, all of the positive information that surrounds Ripple and the accomplishments that Ripple has made with other banks, and, all the banks that are jumping upon the XRP train and basically using it and experimenting with the cryptocurrency. Now, I pretty much just follow random people because if you have an interesting topic, I'm going to follow you. I might even start spitballing things with you like I did here. And I'm making this video not only for XRP people that are huge fanboys for XRP, but I'm going to give you this golden rule here, because it's not just in regards to XRP, it's also in regards to other very important markets, specific cryptocurrencies or other things like gold and silver, just other types of assets in general. So you do want to follow and check this out, because I'm going to share this with you guys, and this is really important because it really helps you see how things can be held down and held stagnant, and when you see that, why it's important. So let's go ahead and talk about, initially, before we get into when XRP will moon, let's take a look at why the XRP price is stagnant, as you could say, or not mooning, essentially. So essentially, to answer and explain, the price is manipulated through futures contracts. Not just any contracts, but leveraged contracts. This is very important. You have to understand that it's leveraged, because the people that are creating these contracts with other people are leveraging to make gains, USD. So basically, I'm not going to tell you why, or not why, but who they are, the people that are accumulating or manipulating the market. I'm going to leave that up to you. Essentially, it could be Ripple itself. It could be banks that are in the space that are seeing where XRP and the Ripple project are going. It could be JP Morgan, for all we know. And I'll go ahead and tell you why it could be that. It could even be Bitcoin whales, people that are in this space from the beginning that have inside knowledge. It could be whoever, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is how and why. So essentially, how. It's done by futures contracts with leverage. And I do have notes because I just worked a 13-hour shift at the hospital, got back home, and this golden rule that I have in this explanation, I just thought it would be so important and powerful for any viewer that is watching this, so I just had to make this video. So essentially, through the futures contracts that are leveraged, let's just say Bitcoin whales, they'll go ahead and make the contract, and during the duration of the contract, they'll manipulate the price towards their target. So if they want to make this much money, and of course, let's say they're going long on the leveraged futures contract, if they want to make this much money and not push the price too far up, of course, because wouldn't be beneficial for them to push it too far up or down if they're shorting the market, and I'll explain why in just a second. They're going to push the price with Bitcoin, so they're going to take they're going to go on exchanges, manipulate the price with Bitcoin to either push it up if they're longing or push it down if they're shorting, to make gains through the leverage futures contract. Now, they're going to go ahead and kind of keep it in a range still. Now, essentially, I think that it's important to note that the reason they're not going to push the price up very high is because if the price is really high, these wells, again, I'm just saying wells, but it could be whoever, these wells, if they push the price up too high through the exchanges, causing the price to go up, then when they go to accumulate it, they have to pay a higher price to accumulate it. So of course they're not going to do that, and they're not going to manipulate the price down too low or crash the XRP price, because that also would be bad, because they understand that the consumers of XRP, or the banks, whoever, the retail traders, the confidence that is in the project would definitely go down because of the price. It is, technology can be great, but price is very important. It's just an underlying, very important fact about an asset, and it's just psychological that if the price is going down, people associate that with negative connotation, or essentially just negative ideas. So they don't want to crash the price, but what they can do, and what they will do, is they'll keep it as flat or in a range as possible to go ahead and continue to accumulate this asset. And again, this happens with gold, this happens with silver, and this does happen with XRP. And that's why XRP during the bear market kind of stayed kind of range bound for the most part. It didn't lose as much as a lot of other projects because of futures contracts and the manipulation that happens. Now, again, back to how. Essentially, what they'll do is the will use the futures contract with leverage, push the price on exchanges to the target that they want, so that they win the contract. They make gains in USD. They'll take the USD and the gains that they made off the leveraged contract, and they will buy more XRP, or essentially accumulate it, and then also use those gains to continually manipulate the price of XRP with their futures contracts that are leveraged. So it's kind of like a rinse and repeat type strategy, allowing these wells, again I'm saying wells, but it could be anyone, to accumulate more XRP. That's the how, and that's also the why. Now, I'm going to look at my notes here. Essentially, I made this bullet point, and I'm just going to read this because I'm just tired. So it says, why the banks or wells always win. They know the future by creating it. They have all the financial data to determine where markets are most likely going to go. As example, JP Morgan is doing this with gold and silver. There's a lot of information that shows that JP Morgan has been one of the biggest banks out there that's doing this with another asset that's not, I'm not saying that they're doing this with XRP. It could be, for all we know, because you do see JP Morgan starting to jump into this whole crypto space. But okay, I digress. Essentially, JP Morgan they know with the financial data that they have where a market is going to go, how long a bull market may last. These banks have inside knowledge with government officials, and they know, when, stock markets are going to move a certain way. They know when interest rates are going to be decreased. Essentially, they know when the market is going to start moving down, or, go into a recession possibly, crash, whatever you want to say. So what they'll do is through futures contracts, or essentially through paper markets, they will manipulate the price of gold or silver to accumulate it through the times that the markets are doing well. Because when the bear market or the crash or whatever you want to call it, of the U.S. market or world economy starts moving down, they'll be able to then be large holders of gold and silver, and they know that a lot of retail and institutions start hedging into gold and silver during these times. So JP Morgan essentially now has the ability to buy low and sell high. And that's just another example of, institutions manipulating the price of an asset to essentially make gains in the future. It's not anything crazy. There's no grand conspiracy. It's essentially just to make money, to make profits. And I really think that, I'm not going to name who, but the entity that is manipulating the price of Ripple is doing this because they know where XRP is going to go. They believe that XRP at some point is going to be adopted by the banks, used, and that the price of XRP is going to go exponentially up. And when that happens, because they've accumulated, because they've manipulated the market, they're going to be holding XRP, and they're going to be extremely wealthy, or be able to buy low, sell high, whatever. So I'm kind of trying to tie this all in together for you guys. I hope you guys can see what I'm getting at. Now, you guys also want to know, when XRP is going to move. Essentially, knowing everything that I've just explained to you, this is the 3 ways that XRP will move. 1, when the banks finally start using XRP, essentially adoption of the currency. Of course, a lot of XRP people think that all of a sudden all these banks are going to jump in and buy up the liquidity, and the price is just going to shoot up. So essentially, that's one reason. A second reason would be, roadmap completion. So when very large portions of the roadmap are completed, that can cause a pump in the market. We did see that in 2018 when a really big piece of the roadmap was completed for XRP, and the price shot up. Let's just look at the. Let's take a second to look at it. Let's go to the weekly, or not the weekly. Let's go to the daily, because this chart, at least that I have on Bittrex. Yeah, it was September of 2018 last year. The price went all the way up to 78 cents. Yeah, I was going to say 80, but I wanted to make sure. Went up to 78 cents, at least on Bittrex here, and that was due to a large completion of the roadmap. So XRP can move up during a bull run, essentially because, well, all price is based off of supply and demand. If there's a lot more demand than there is, the supply there, people are going to start buying it up. The supply is decreasing. People are going to still want the asset because of the demand, and they're going to pay higher and higher prices to acquire it. So, it can move up in a bull run, but essentially it can also, as proved right here, it can move up due to big news. And a lot of people make fun of that. They're like, well, because they come from more institutional type backgrounds, professional trading of the stock market, they're like, news doesn't do anything. Well, in the cryptocurrency space, news does affect the price. And we all know that if you've been a part of this space for as many years as I have, or maybe longer than I have, you know that news does affect the price. So essentially news or adoption so far. And then my third point, when XRP will moon, it will moon when whoever is either shorting or longing, essentially manipulating the price, it will moon when they stop. Because, see, cryptocurrency, the price of whatever asset you want to look at, is always going to essentially be moving up, and essentially at this time, especially in the infancy of it. And you can see that by looking at Bitcoin as a chart. And of course, this doesn't apply to all currencies because, not all of the crypto projects are as well established or, even great projects. But for the major cryptocurrencies that have the most adoption, if you look at their charts, they're moving like this. They do have periods of time where they're moving down, bear markets, whatever you want to call it. But if you look at Bitcoin, essentially, you see it moving, like this. So with the prices going up, honestly, I lost train of thought here. Too tired. But oh yeah, I remember. So basically, and this is why I've made the notes, guys. So essentially when they stop shorting the market or manipulating the market, shorting the rallies of a certain asset, longing or manipulating the price up during bear markets or whatever they're doing, to make money on leveraged futures. As soon as they stop that, because the price is going up, there's no more manipulation. It ceases. The price is going to shoot up because there's always increasing demand in this space. And you can see that, by looking at many different charts. So that would be the third point. Yeah, sorry guys, totally too tired to be making this video, but hopefully you actually see what I'm getting at. And this really can also be seen with Bitcoin. You saw as another example, Bitcoin's price at the end of 2017 dramatically started to drop when futures contracts started. Recently, some of the futures contracts, I believe it was a CBOE, they stated that they were going to stop their futures contracts. Of course, there is still futures contracts, paper type contracts for Bitcoin, but a large portion of those contracts kind of stop, and you all of a sudden start seeing Bitcoin start moving up. So futures contracts do, especially in this crypto space where we're unregulated, they're a huge factor, huge factor. And especially with XRP, I would say that it is probably the #1 reason why XRP is not shooting up into the stratosphere, mooning. And this could even be the case for a lot of other projects. But essentially, I just wanted to go ahead and explain this. This is kind of a response to the digital Nomad Investor. So yeah, guys, hope you thought that was interesting. Now let's go ahead and share my secret. There's really 3 points. A lot of good traders fail, and the reason they fail are for these 3 reasons. Now I'm saying good trader because I'm not talking about a trader that follows other people's opinion or is new, just follows pump type channels, because a lot of those guys, I don't consider that good trading. Not that you're a bad trader if you do that, but I don't consider that if you're strictly just doing that and not taking into consideration what I have here. That I don't consider that good trading. So I'm talking about good traders, actual good traders. Example: a trader that is very good at technical analysis. That could be an example of a great trader. Um, so if you're a good trader, what you have to do to become extremely accurate in this space is you have to, one, know technical analysis. Technical analysis is the backbone of the market, but you have to take into consideration where the algo bots are going to move, and that is based off technical analysis. But if you think like an algorithm or an algo bot, you know where the price is going to generally move based off the technical analysis. So it's almost like you have to be good at technical analysis uh, first, and then you have to be able to then think like a bot and see how a bot might move to win the trades. You have to see how these bots are going to essentially already know that you're making a trade because of the technical analysis and the psychology that is basically put into these algorithms. They know exactly that you're going to buy something by what you're doing on the exchange. So knowing that you have to know when to buy and sell based off the way that an algo bot might move the price, buy up something before you even buy it, just to sell it to you at a higher price, then start moving the price down to make you want to sell. You have to take into consideration what the algo bots are doing. 2. And 3, you have to have a contrarian type mindset. Essentially, you have to know how the whales are manipulating the market. It's very, very important. A lot of people make fun of this because they're like, there's no manipulation. TA is the only thing that moves the market, or it's all just algo bots doing all the trading. So a lot of good traders just get stuck on one portion and they're only good at one thing. But you have to be good at these 3 things. Technical analysis is the backbone. 2, you have to think like an algo bot, and 3, you have to be able to think contrarian, or essentially how a whale might manipulate the market. And you could really just look at my examples of JP Morgan with gold and silver. You could think about the ideas of the things that I've discussed with the way that XRP is being stagnant. And you have to be able to look at those things and identify those for not being negatives but positives, because when you see these things happening, you're seeing that someone is accumulating. They're accumulating for a reason. And when you can do those 3 things, you can make calls accurate, possibly even more accurate than me. Yeah, guys, that's about it. I'm extremely tired, and I think soon I want to make a video on Facebook coin and how I think that this will change the markets in its own way. Jasper from the Cardano Trading Telegram channel, we were talking about this and he got me thinking. I think I might make a video soon for that, so look out for this, guys. If you guys have been following me, I don't make videos all the time, but I do I do make really interesting, I think very important videos, because I have a lot of knowledge that I can share with you guys. So I would say like and subscribe, and like to keep me motivated, and subscribe for the random videos that I do post with these secrets and the knowledge that I can give to you guys. And to the digital nomad investor, I just want to say I like your channel, very interesting. I'm starting to get back into researching a lot of other projects. I'm researching XRP now because I am a trader that, I pretty much say this in every video. I do what I do best, which is trading, and I'm in, the projects that I line up with more, I guess fundamentally, I like projects that are about trading, unbanked, banking the unbanked, giving freedoms and power to the little man, essentially just helping the little man out. That's why I really like projects like Dash and Cardano, because I see that they're going to third world countries and they're trying to give technology to these countries to basically pull people up. And those are the type of projects that I like. But you guys know that I'm really here to make money, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that you want to make money. A lot of people in the crypto world want to make money, but they are, if you've looked at the studies, people in this space are the most generous people. So I think that's great, because that means that the people that will be making this money, if you're in the right projects, are generous, and therefore possibly may help this world out. Create, just businesses or positive things in this world, because obviously it takes money to make this world go around. So, anyways, yeah, I'd say to go ahead and keep me motivated, and subscribe for more interesting videos. Take it easy, guys.